Does it feel like society has gotten more on edge lately? Like people are quicker to get angry, to clash, to go at each other's throats? It's hard to chalk this all up to just a feeling. Gallup surveys people around the world every year, asking, "Did you feel anger yesterday?" In 2024, 22% said yes, and these negative emotion indicators have generally been higher than they were a decade ago. Pew Research has also consistently shown that political polarization in America, along with animosity toward the opposing party, has been growing. But does this mean humans have fundamentally evolved into an angrier species? Is there something wrong with our education? Why does it feel like there's more negativity going around? Today, we're going to talk about how we became consumers of anger, and how we've learned to turn anger into pleasure. To understand anger, we need to reframe the question. Not, why do we get angry, but why does this emotion exist in the first place? Imagine tens of thousands of years ago. You've just had a successful hunt. After days of starving, you finally caught some game. But now a stranger approaches, eyeing your kill. Your territory is being invaded. Your share is about to disappear. In that moment, your body reacts first. Energy surges back into your exhausted body. Your heart races, muscles tense, vision narrows and locks onto the threat. Anger is the emotion that channels this aroused state into action. It makes you stand your ground, resist, draw the line. Sometimes it even pushes you beyond your normal limits. Anger also serves a social function. It signals, "This crossed a line. This isn't fair." It's a force that restrains rule breakers and maintains social order. Without anger, we'd just endure injustice in silence. So anger itself isn't evil. Anger was originally a powerful engine for survival and order, sometimes even for transcending our limitations. The question was always, where do you point that powerful engine? Let's take a moment to look at how that engine actually works in the brain. When you detect a threat, the first part of the brain to respond is the amygdala. The amygdala acts like a danger alarm system. When it activates, it triggers the hypothalamus to flood your system with stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart speeds up, blood rushes to your muscles, and non-urgent functions like digestion slow down. Your entire body shifts into fight or flight mode. Up to this point, it's similar to fear or anxiety, but anger has one peculiar characteristic. Anger activates approach motivation, not fleeing, but moving toward the threat to confront it. And research suggests that during this process, the brain's reward circuitry, particularly dopamine pathways, can become engaged. Simply put, when you feel anger and act on it, your brain may generate something like a pleasure signal. Why does this matter? Because it shows that anger isn't simply an unpleasant emotion. Anger has a built-in reward component. The very act of confronting a threat can register as a "you're doing great" signal to your brain. That's why anger can become repetitive. Get angry. Brain sends a reward signal. Seek anger again. It's a cycle. It's difficult to call it addiction outright, but it's clearly an emotion that easily becomes habit. Understanding this characteristic will help explain later why we voluntarily consume anger content. Anger isn't just an emotion that explodes. It's an emotion your brain makes you seek again. Humanity learned early on that anger is fuel that moves groups. When anger is channeled in a good direction, change happens. Think of the civil rights movement. Anger over centuries of discrimination took to the streets, and laws changed. The same goes for India's independence movement and South Africa's anti-apartheid struggle. In the 19th century, workers were furious about 16-hour workdays, and that anger created the 40-hour workweek and safety regulations. The key point: anger has the power to take injustice and elevate it from a personal sigh to a public issue. But when that same fuel goes in a bad direction, it becomes catastrophe. Hitler took the economic frustration and anger following World War I defeat and organized it around "blame the Jews," spreading rage like a virus. That energy led to the Holocaust. In Rwanda, radio broadcasts directed Hutu anger toward Tutsis, and in roughly 100 days, hundreds of thousands were killed. The witch trials were similar. Anxiety and anger found a scapegoat called witches, and tens of thousands were horrifically executed. Anger is a neutral force. It creates revolutions, and it creates massacres. What determines the outcome is who directs the anger, with what narrative, toward what target. And this is where an important shift occurred. Anger began transforming from a tool of power into a profitable commodity. In the late 19th century, as mass newspapers grew and competition intensified, which stories sell more became paramount. The classic example is the rivalry between William Randolph Hearst's New York Journal and Joseph Pulitzer's New York World. These papers battled for circulation with sensational headlines, exaggerated illustrations, and lurid stories. This was the birth of yellow journalism. This competition peaked in 1898. When the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor, the cause was unclear. But the yellow press pushed "Spain blew it up," and the rallying cry, "Remember the Maine," whipped up public fury. The US went to war with Spain. Many historians view this as a case where media sensationalism fueled war fever. Anger was sold, and it actually led to war. Why did this work so well? Because humans react faster to threat signals than to calm news. Remember the amygdala's alarm system? It's at work here too. The brain is designed to prioritize potentially dangerous information. Evolutionarily rational, but in a media environment, it creates a structure where the provocative catches the eye first. When broadcasting emerged, the system grew more sophisticated. Ratings translated directly to ad rates, and ads meant money. So emotions that kept people watching became revenue. Conflict, confrontation, anger became devices to keep viewers from changing the channel. And as this repeated, society grew fluent in the language of anger. Politics was no exception. Rather than lengthy policy explanations, "They're the reason we're losing out" spreads far faster. Division becomes votes, and hostility creates solidarity. Up to this point, someone was designing the anger. Editors, producers, campaign strategists were manufacturing and deploying anger. But now the method has changed. You don't even need to produce anger anymore, because platforms have started automatically selecting and automatically amplifying anger. Think about your day recently. What made you angry? News? Comments? A short clip? Someone's one-liner? And did you seek it out? Or did it come to you? Recommendation algorithms are typically optimized to increase user engagement and time on site. Simply put, the longer you stay, the more ad opportunities the platform gets. So what kind of content keeps people engaged? Multiple studies have repeatedly shown that strong emotions like anger/outrage are closely tied to social media engagement. Comments, shares, etc. There's research on how politically outrage-inducing content drives interaction. Analysis has also shown that anger may spread faster online from an emotional contagion perspective. The key point here: it's not that algorithms love anger because they're evil. Rather, in a structure that rewards high engagement, anger becomes structurally advantaged. Let's look at this in numbers. The global digital advertising market was worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually as of 2024. A significant portion of that flows to social media platforms. When a user stays one more minute on the platform, one more ad gets shown. One more ad shown means the platform makes more money. So the platform's goal is simple: increase time on site. And anger is structurally efficient at doing exactly that. Why is this hard to change? Because the platform's entire revenue model is built on selling attention. Advertisers buy users' eyeballs. Platforms capture those eyeballs for as long as possible and sell them. In this structure, content that's calmly read is less valuable than content that triggers immediate reaction. Reducing anger could mean reducing revenue for the platform. What's the result? Real-world fragmentation. In the past, everyone watched the same news, saw the same headlines, watched the same evening broadcast. Even when opinions differed, there was common ground. We're arguing about the same event. Now my feed and your feed are different. The same event arrives through different frames. So arguments haven't become more complex. The very rules of argument, premises, facts, priorities, have become impossible to agree on. And the speed accelerates. Anger spreads instantly. Corrections arrive late. In this structure, emotions have already spread before fact-checking is done. There's another layer to this: online anonymity. Think about talking to someone face-to-face offline. You see their expression. You hear their tone of voice. You get real-time feedback on how your words affect them. So most people self-regulate in face-to-face situations. The brake kicks in. This might be going too far. Online, that brake is gone. You can't see their face. They can't see yours. Hide behind a username, and it becomes hard to feel the consequences of what you said. Psychology calls this the online disinhibition effect. When anonymity and non-face-to-face interaction combine, people freely say things they'd never say in person. Think about comment sections. It's already bad with real names. Imagine with anonymity. They don't know who I am. It'll never come back to me anyway. This mindset makes anger expression more extreme. And this connects back to algorithms. Extreme comments draw reactions. Reactions draw exposure. Exposure draws more people in. Online anger is qualitatively different from offline anger. It's faster, rougher, spreads more easily. And above all, accountability shrinks. Let's go one step further. So far, we've talked about systems automatically amplifying anger. But sometimes anger doesn't arise naturally. It's intentionally designed. Fake accounts, bots, organized troll farms, these actually exist. They ignite specific issues and provoke both sides to escalate conflict. A prime example is the 2016 US presidential election and its aftermath. Accounts analyzed as connected to Russia operated on Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms, stoking sensitive issues, race, immigration, guns, from both sides simultaneously. They injected progressive outrage into progressive groups and conservative outrage into conservative groups. The goal wasn't to make one side win, it was to amplify division itself. This manipulation isn't just an American story. Around election seasons and social conflicts, disinformation campaigns are repeatedly reported across various countries. Automated accounts push specific hashtags, manipulated videos spread, fabricated events are created. What's frightening is this: we can't easily tell whether anger came from real people with real emotions or from designed provocations. Is that outrage post in your feed an actual citizen's voice, or a spark someone intentionally planted? In most cases, you can't tell. Systems automatically amplifying anger is one problem. But people exploiting those system vulnerabilities to plant anger is a problem of a different magnitude. Let's step back and identify a pattern. Looking at how anger events explode online in recent years, they follow almost identical life cycles. Stage 1. Ignition. A provocative event or statement emerges. Could be a video, a screenshot, a single tweet. Stage 2. Spread. It gets shared and quoted. Emotional interpretations pile on. It spreads rapidly. Stage 3. Sides form. People divide over, "What do you think about this?" Both sides are angry, but the anger points in different directions. One side is angry at the event, the other is angry at the reaction. Stage 4. Fatigue. A few days pass and energy drains. People get exhausted. Interest fades without any real resolution. Stage 5. Next issue. A new provocation appears, and the cycle starts over from the beginning. Once you've experienced this, you'll recognize it. "Oh, I've seen this before." Picture it concretely. Someone's statement circulates as a clipped video, igniting explosive anger. An apology is issued. The apology sparks more anger. An explanation comes out. The explanation's context sparks more anger. Then, a few days later, a completely different incident breaks, and the previous one vanishes as if it never happened. The problem with this cycle? Anger doesn't lead to resolution. Energy gets spent, but all that's left is exhaustion and frustration. And when the next anger arrives while you're already fatigued, reactions become either more extreme or completely numb, one or the other. Recognizing this cycle is already the first defense. Just asking, "What stage of this cycle am I in right now?" can pull you one step back from reflexive reaction. Algorithms are the problem. Media is the problem. Politics is the problem. Manipulation exists. All true. But that explanation alone isn't complete. Let's be honest. Anger can feel oddly satisfying sometimes. It quickly delivers the sensation, "I'm right, they're wrong." That's the cheapest certainty in an uncertain world. Remember the neuroscience discussion earlier? Anger can connect to dopamine reward pathways. That's what's operating here. When you consume anger content and feel, "I knew I was right," the brain processes that as a kind of reward. So you seek it again, click again. There's more. Anger provides belonging. When you're angry together with your side, you confirm each other, draw the boundaries of your group more sharply. This can be psychologically rewarding. It's often oversimplified with words like dopamine, but it's actually a bit more complex. Still, the core point is that a sense of reward genuinely occurs. And rewards don't only come as pleasant feelings. Certainty, belonging, moral superiority, these are sufficient rewards for the brain too. So we consume anger. Not just because platforms deliver it, because we click, share, comment, and come back again. Ultimately, we hold two roles simultaneously: victim and fuel. Admitting this is uncomfortable, but only by admitting it can we talk about what comes next. After hearing all this, you might think, so what? Don't feel anger at all? Quit the internet? No, that's not what this is about. You can't eliminate anger. You don't need to. As I said, anger is a signal that detects injustice, fuel for change. The question is whether that fuel is being used by your will or burned for someone else's profit. First, the habit of pausing before reacting. When you feel anger, instead of immediately sharing or commenting, pause for a few seconds. Where did this anger come from? Is this something I experienced directly, or something someone placed in my feed? That one question creates the difference between reflexive reaction and conscious choice. Second, being aware of the algorithm. Remember that what appears in your feed isn't a balanced picture of the world, but content selected to maximize your reaction. Just knowing this changes how you receive content. You start thinking, why did this come to me? Third, tracing anger to its source. When you see a post that makes you angry, find the original. What was the full context of that clipped video? What was said before and after that screenshot? I know this is tedious, but that very tediousness is why anger spreads faster than facts. If you trace back to the source even once, you'll realize half your anger came from missing context. Fourth, recognizing the outrage cycle. The ignition, spread, sides forming, fatigue, next issue cycle I mentioned. Once you know this pattern, when you're in the middle of it, you can realize, oh, I'm at this stage. That awareness lets you choose. Will I ride this wave or step back? This isn't about suppressing anger. It's about reclaiming anger as your own. When genuine injustice makes you angry, that's legitimate. Channeling that anger into action has value. But whether all the anger you feel while scrolling your feed is truly yours, that deserves questioning. Anger was originally an emotion for survival, a force that detected injustice, established boundaries, catalyzed change. The brain is designed to confront threats through anger, and it even sends reward signals in the process. Throughout history, anger has served as fuel that expanded rights, and as a tool for propaganda and scapegoating. As mass media grew, anger became a product that sells, and social media, with recommendation systems, created structures that automatically select and amplify that product. Anonymity made that anger rougher, and sometimes external actors intentionally plant anger. And we ourselves are part of this system. The certainty, belonging, and moral clarity that anger provides. Because these become rewards, we consume anger, come back again, and feed the system. So now the question isn't, is anger good or bad? The question is this: is the anger I'm feeling right now truly mine? Is it anger my life and values need? Or is it anger delivered for someone's clicks and engagement time? And one more thing. After recognizing that anger, what will I do? Share reflexively? Or pause and check if it's really mine? Were you angry today? Where did that anger come from, and what did it make you do? Leave your experience in the comments.
Thanks for watching.